Hello, good evening. I have a video that I have been hesitating to post. I hesitated because of just me kind of complaining about how rough it is at times to garden here in Tucson. But I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to be real. Sometimes gardening in the desert and the heat that we have is really tough. We just had a storm come through and actually pretty much devastate our garden. We had lots of hail. I'm going to take you guys through the hail damage tomorrow, but let me get this video up for you now. I'll talk to you soon. Noon. I have been out here since 6 this morning and it is now 12:15. So I am hot. I am pooped. It is hot today. It is over 100 degrees already at 12 here in Tucson. But you know, I work during the week, and if I'm gonna get some stuff done, I should just get some stuff done. So here it is, Saturday. Been out here 6 hours. I'm gonna go inside and I have a few tips for staying cool. One is I dampen my shirt with the warm water from the hose, so it just evaporative cooling at its best. Second one is I have frozen rice packets that I put in my shirt to help me regulate my heat. And another one is I try to stay under the shade cloth. I did plant about 10 tomatoes and discovered while doing that even after I had watered, I am literally only watering about 2 inches in my raised beds, 2 inches deep. So while I have the sprinklers on for about 30 minutes or well, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 minutes is more accurate. While I have my sprinklers on every morning, I'm not getting a deep water, which could be a significant reason why things are heat stressed. I know that I also know that they're heat stressed because it's hot. So I'm not terribly, new to that idea or ignorant to that idea. But yeah, I need to be getting the watering deeper. So honestly, if I could even get it down to about 6 inches, that would probably change the entire health of my garden. And another thing I'm doing to help promote health in my garden is when I have pulled things up, I go through with fresh soil, and I have some Fox Farm dry fertilizer that I mix in with the soil, and I put about 2 inches of fresh soil out of the bag with the fertilizer on it. So another 2 inches for just being able to create a really healthy environment for my plants. My plants have really struggled in this heat. And almost every day they're wilted in the middle of the day, and it makes me anxious because I know that in one afternoon everything could be wiped out. The heat is severe. The heat is severe, and the other day I was running an errand and my car said it was 115. Now the forecast said it was only 109, but I believe that the car measures the heat that it's experiencing at the moment, and 115 is very significant. And it's been windy, so even when you're in the shade, you're just being hit by this constant stream of heat. And it's generally a dry heat here in Tucson, but recently, because we've had a few rains, it's humid. So one of the best things about being in Tucson is the dry heat versus humid heat. But yeah, not at this moment. It's all It was 40% humidity this morning, which might be not that much for elsewhere, but when it heats up really quickly, you feel it. It's just, it's such a saturated heat. Humidity is such a saturated, close feeling, whereas a dry heat is, you know, if you're in the shade, you're generally, it's still hot, but you're a little better in the shade. So I'll show you a little bit. It's very bright out here, so forgive me for the brightness. I'm currently under our 70% shade cloth right here, and let me show you kind of what. So the sun, this area in the morning is shaded, and then it gets more shade in the afternoon, but it only actually covers about half to less than half of the beds. So everything is essentially, which is not, it's not ideal. It's just not ideal for this kind of sun that we have and the kind of heat that we have throughout the summer. So this is the situation we're in. And I still want a beautiful space. I want to be successful at gardening. I want things to live. I want things to do well. So I'm driven to continue trying. And usually I'm done in the yard every morning by about 7:30. I go in, I get ready for my work day, and I'm out of the heat. Today I just didn't want to quit because the summer's getting away from me, and I know that monsoon planting of your tomatoes is important. It's important to get things in the ground in time in order to have the kind of harvest that you want. Now, our first frost date is in November, generally about November 16th, our average first frost date. It's forecasted for November 16th. So quite honestly, we have 120 days left to grow, almost, just about 115 maybe. And most tomatoes take anywhere from 70 days to 90. Some of them go, they need 120 days to ripen. But if, I got everything in, things have started, I've got most of them in. I have made one more purchase of seeds, which I'm hoping that would be just about the last purchase of seeds that I'll make this year. But I have one more purchase of seeds coming through. I broke down and bought some seeds from Native Seed Search. It is local to here in Tucson, and some of their specialties and what they specialize in is growing in this arid desert and providing the type of seeds that you need in order to be successful in this extreme heat. So I have broke down and gotten some beans that will be good for green beans, because I'm honestly sick of growing green beans in this area that just don't set green beans on their vines or on their bushes, because it's just too hot. It's just too hot. So I bought some green beans. I also got some gourds and some squash. And the reviews said that they're actually pretty resistant to squash bugs and vine borers. So with my history with vine borers this year, I feel hopeful. Oh my goodness, I feel hopeful. My hair's a mess and I'm really hot. And so I know that at one point I rinsed my face and forgot that I had put some mascara on, so I probably have some of that running down my face. But I invited you to join me and you're here, so this is what we're doing. So with the Native Seed Search, I got some things. They're also selling tomatoes that have grown wild in this region between Texas and Baja California. I think there's 3 different kinds that I that I got or that I wanted to get. I'm not sure if I got them all. I might have to go back through and get the rest of them on my next paycheck. But, you know, if we get tomatoes that naturally are acclimated to our area, then, you know, honestly, that would be a win for us. It is, you know, I'm grateful for all the things that I've tried, all the different plants that I've attempted to grow, and we have attempted to manipulate our yard to create a more hospitable environment to growth. But bottom line is, we've both failed. We failed. It's hard. And also, we're not growing things necessarily that do well in this area. So, you know, I think I feel a little bit of defeat with that. The tomatoes and the peppers that I planted already, they are not necessarily acclimated to this area. So, you know, so that is what it is. And some things are doing fine, or will do fine once it starts cooling off again. Everything is so, you know, I'm pulling in tomatoes that have burns on them, from sunburns on them. And it's just really rough. You know, it's really rough trying to grow in this. But also, I feel hopeful for my fall garden. I feel hopeful for some of the seeds that I purchased. I feel hopeful that, you know, even the tomatoes that I've planted right now, you know, it'll still be in the 90s in October. It'll still be 90 degrees in October in Tucson, and sometimes it's even 90s into November. It still is hot. We are in the low desert. But, you know, 90s is not the same thing as 115 degrees. So if we could, you know, have a full 4 weeks of 90-degree weather, you know, between 70 and 90 in the fall, I believe that we will get a pretty good harvest. So that's my hope. You're welcome to join me to see whether that will be a success or another fail. I don't know, but I do feel hopeful. I feel grateful for learning today that I'm only watering the first 2 inches of the soil. So grateful to kind of know that I am not doing any of my plants any favors by stopping the watering at 20 minutes instead of like an hour. Maybe I should just let them go for an hour. And you know, if I need to start watering at 5:30 in the morning and finish at 7:30, I think I could do that. I think that that's totally doable for me. I'm usually up and about and walking through the garden about 5:30. So my first walk through in the garden is about 5:30, and I go in and get ready for work about 7:30. So it's totally doable, and I'm committed to figuring out how to do this better. And I feel yeah, like things, if I'm actually meeting the needs of our plants, there's a far better chance that we're gonna get the results that we're wanting. So let me show you real quick what I've done. I put in for 1, 2, 3, 4 plants, tomatoes back here. I still have 2 tomatoes in here, which I think will do fine. I don't know if you can see this one right here, but that is sunburn on it. This one is kind of doing terrible as well, but I'm hoping to get a second flush of harvest off it. These are my peppers that I planted about a week ago, transplanted. And you know, my husband offered to water for me, and he hand watered. And so when we put on the sprinklers, they go for about 20 minutes. But you don't stand there for 20 minutes in hand water. So everything by noon, it was completely like wilted, and I was afraid that we would lose plants, and it appeared that everything was completely dry. But he said that he had hand watered, and I believe him, because there has been a significant amount of investment of both of money and effort on his, you know, from him as well as from me. So I don't believe that there's any lie in it. I don't think that he forgot to water anything. But it is what it is. We just know that now we know it's going to have to be watered for, you know, 30 minutes to an hour a day. You know, probably about 45 minutes would be good. We'll see how well we do that. But here's a few more. We've got this little guy here. This I really appreciate this bed. I feel really grateful for this bed because I have some soybeans in here, which are nitrogen fixers in the soil. This is marigold. These are marigolds. So if you know anything about companion planting, often you plant because the pungent smell kind of, you know, the animals that would consume, or the critters, insects that would consume and make your tomatoes sick will not really appreciate the pungentness of the marigolds. So I was planting the marigolds by seed with the tomatoes that I was planting, and you know, we got a good flush of marigolds about November, but nobody wants to wait until November. These look really sad, but now that I know that I haven't been watering things deeply, I think I can kind of fix it. I got one more set of tomatoes that I've done right in here. Oh, look at how pretty these are. I don't know that these will do any good. These are Brandywine, and they have the big tomato leaves, tomato vine style leaves, and I love them. I think they're wonderful. And then we have a few more tomatoes there. To mulch that bed with straw, I think that whole bed will retain its moisture far better now that I have put straw over it. Oh, one more thing. Let me show you what I did. I strung up all my melons, and I'm hoping that with the change in weather and the fact that we're getting some moisture, this my dog eats every day. Every time he walks by it, he eats. So don't judge this. This isn't really how this vine would be if my dog didn't take a bite out of it every single time he ran by it. But I'm hoping that the change of weather and it cooling off a little bit with the monsoons, that the pollen inside the male flowers of our melons, that they will be more viable. Because that's what I've heard. It actually, the heat just kind of sterilizes everything. Oh, I'm really hot and my head hurts and I need to go inside. I feel like I'm kind of dehydrated. So one more thing I'm going to show you. This was a surprise. Look at those beauties. I love them. Those are yellow New Mexico yellow jalapenos, I think, or pumpkin spice jalapenos, could be. And I'm very excited about them. So much of my garden, all of the tags, the name tags, got pulled off because I have a 2-year-old that touches everything and wants things for himself, and he feels like they're created for him. I love him. I love his exploration. I love how he joins me in the garden, how he loves it for 15-minute cries all day to come out here, loves it for 15 minutes, and then cries to go back inside. Oh my goodness, such a fickle little guy. But I appreciate his presence in my life and his presence in my garden, so I'm not complaining about not having name tags. But on the other hand, every time I see a different variety that I thought that we weren't going to get, it's like a surprise. the best kind. All right. I love you all. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you soon.